The theme of Hanukkah is that the Maccabees, when they regained control of the temple, they were the Kohanim, they were the priests working in the temple, and they had to light the menorah. All the oil was contaminated by war, and they could have used it to light the menorah because that's all there was, but they refused. They refused to use contaminated oil and went looking and searching to find oil that had not been contaminated. And they found, right? This is what happened. They found a little cruse of oil with the seal of the high priest, which means it hadn't been opened, which means it was not contaminated. But it was enough only for one night, maybe not even. Miraculously, it lasted 8 days until they were able to make fresh oil. It would take 8 days for fresh oil to be available, but a miracle happened and the little cruse lasted 8 days. Very, very surprising that incident is not mentioned in any of our prayers. The prayers of Hanukkah describe in great detail the miracle of the war that the Maccabees fought with the Greek-Assyrian army. But there's no mention of the miracle of the oil. We know there are 8 days of Hanukkah because the oil lasted 8 days. And yet it's never mentioned explicitly. Why would that be? Could be that the reason is, although we call it a miracle, and technically it is a miracle, the real miracle was that the people would not accept the compromise of using contaminated oil. When you refuse to compromise, you have only one option, and that is to dig deeper in yourself, to reach deeper into yourself, to that place where contamination doesn't go. Can't be contaminated. If you get in touch with that part of you that cannot be contaminated, you find untouched oil with the seal of the high priest, which is as holy as you can get. Now, when you tap into that part of your soul, it will light up your life forever. And it's not a miracle. That's the nature of the soul. So what happened there with the oil, is it a miracle? Or is that the true nature of the innocence of our soul? If you tap into the innocence of your soul, you are innocent forevermore, because it can't be contaminated. So that it lasted for 8 days, well, of course it'll last for 8 days. It'll last a lifetime. So to suggest that this is really the true nature of our soul, we don't explicitly mention that the burning of the oil for 8 days was supernatural. In the physical world, it was surprising. Nobody expected it. And so we call it a miracle. But really, on a deeper level, is it a miracle that innocence is real and guilt is secondary and artificial? Is that a miracle? Is it a miracle that a soul is pure and can't really be contaminated except on the most superficial, artificial level. The miracle is that we don't always get in touch with our soul. And on that occasion, we did. But that also is not actually a miracle, because when something inspiring happens, then we do get in touch with our soul. That's what happens. When nature fails you, well, then you reach into something above nature. That's natural. It's like that famous quote, if you don't believe in miracles, you're not being realistic. That's such a good quote. In our history, Jewish history, miracles are the most natural part of our existence. Where would we be without miracles? So if you don't believe in miracles, then you have no rational explanation for how we're still here, how we're survived, and how we're still Jewish. So once again, is a miracle always a miracle? Or are we just seeing a much deeper part of nature, a deeper, more beautiful part of the natural world? A soul is a soul by nature. It's not a miracle. It's just not that part of nature that we usually see or feel. But is it really otherworldly? No, that's who we are. That's what we are. So when we tap into it because of a great experience, like the victory of the war, of the victory of the few over the many, the weak over the strong, and so on, which they said could never be done, when that happens, of course our soul is suddenly revealed. Of course we become conscious of something deeper about ourselves. That's who we are. Not a miracle. And that's what it means to celebrate the miracle. See, if it's a miracle, in the full sense of the word, something otherworldly, something beyond, well, when it happens, it's fantastic, but how can you celebrate it later, like 2,000 years later? The reason we can celebrate these miracles is because the miracle only revealed what we truly are naturally. There's the nature of the body, there's the nature of the soul, there's the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is a science. You don't see it, but you can figure it out. How the brain works, what the brain does. Same is true with the soul. So on occasion, we tap into our soul. And what do we feel? What do we see? That we are here to serve our Creator. That's what our soul was told when it was first sent into this world. You're going down into the lowest world to serve your Creator. Don't forget. But we do forget because of birth trauma or whatever. When something unusual stirs us beyond our physical nature, we tap into our soul nature. It's not otherworldly, it's who we are. And so we can celebrate it even 2,000 years later. So if you don't have a menorah and you don't know how to celebrate this great occasion, contact the local Chabad house, give them a call, go over there, or they'll bring it to you. But every Jew should have a menorah on Hanukkah so that you can tap into who you really are.